Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes Podcast, a podcast where I talk about Asian pop culture, films, TV shows, comic books, anime, music, food, video games, whatever we're feeling at the time. Really, my name is Dan with H, and with me, as always, is my co-host Harvey. Hello, Tavi.
Hello, Dan. You were saying that you're pretty tired before. I think we just come fresh back from New Zealand.
Yes.
Whether that episode has been released by now.
That probably won't be released for a while. This is definitely going to be released before that. But chronologically speaking, yes, we are back from our New Zealand trip. I posted a couple of stories. You might have seen a couple of them. If you are following us on Instagram, which you can do at Two Asian Blokes if you feel like it.
Yeah, you and I both got screwed on our flights back.
Oh, man. Jetstar, man. They got to lift their game.
You bastards.
And not just us, everybody in our party that had purchased a Jetstar ticket got screwed in some way.
I was surprisingly jet lagged from fucking traveling back from New Zealand.
What was your flight again? You went from Queenstown to Auckland?
Queenstown to Auckland, Auckland to Melbourne.
How long was your layover?
2 hours, which is surprisingly short because
you got to go get your shit.
Yeah. Well, one of our friends did warn me of a long walk to International, and they weren't kidding. It was quite a walk. It was only until I got to the International area that I saw there was a fucking bus transfer that was free. I'm like, you bastards, like, why is this not more obvious when there's like so many people? And yeah, I'm just like running with my bags, and yeah, it was pretty hot most of the time, and it was hot in Auckland, and I was just like, oh, this is fucked. So airports are just not a good place to be. And like, yeah,
I don't know. I used to like going to the airport.
Nah, it's just stress. Like I do actually like when you sit down and wait for a bit. Like I didn't have time to do that in my transfer
because they didn't put your bags through, right? You had to collect your bag.
And to go collect my fucking like a fucking
and then go check it in again. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
because I had 3 hours in Melbourne and that felt short.
Like,
like I had enough time to get some Maccas, but like it did feel shorter than I expected because of all the faff.
I barely had time to get Maccas because I wanted to charge my phone and stuff, but yeah, I didn't really have time, but it was all right. Just, watch the movie on the plane, and it was surprising. The flights felt surprisingly short, which was good, and they were actually pretty surprisingly comfy as well.
I purposely chose an Indian film because I know they're long, so you can it's a good way to spend 3 hours, I guess.
Yeah, my laptop doesn't last that long, but I managed to squeeze in a movie and read a little bit on the plane, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, this movie that we're going to cover has nothing to do with New Zealand.
Nothing to do with nothing. This is a random choice from us.
I guess there is an airport in this movie. True. So there you go. That's our tenuous connection. But today we're covering an American film, Mona Lisa and the Blood Moon, which is directed by Lily Amirpour, who, I've recently become pretty interested in her work ever since I think we mentioned her movie back a while ago, and we've sprinkled that movie like throughout some of the episodes. Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night.
Fabulous movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie, great movie. Yeah, and then I think she did The Bad Batch, which was on Netflix, which I watched as well, which is
received a mixed reception. I haven't seen it myself, but
pretty
polarizing, I hear.
Yeah, pretty good first half. Then it kind of loses its way and maybe its message a bit in the second half. And she did one of the shorts for Guillermo del Toro's Cabinets of Curiosity, which was a good one.
Good one, okay.
Yeah, and I'd actually been following this movie for a little while because the reason I wanted to cover this movie, or I was following it, is because the protagonist is played by Jeon Jong-seo, who is really well known for her role in Burning, which was her debut.
Which is one of our personal favorites.
Yeah, personal favorites.
We have done an episode on it if you want to go back and listen to us gush for maybe a little under an hour about a South Korean film.
Yeah, like one of the best movies, and I think she's probably one of the best actresses working in South Korea. Best Young Actresses.
I haven't seen anything else she's in, though.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of others. She was in this movie called The Call, which is on Netflix.
Okay.
Which she plays an antagonist. And she shares the screen with Park Shin-hye.
Oh, yeah.
And she does like crazy pretty well in that movie. That movie, it's good, but it kind of loses its way near the end.
Well, she does crazy pretty well in this film as well.
Yeah, she does. She's very well casted in this movie. So, I mean, the basic plot line is that a South Korean, like, patient is just...
I think she is North Korean in this film.
Oh, yeah, you're right. She's North Korean. Yeah, it's revealed she's North Korean. That's true. Well, that's not really a spoiler.
No.
I guess all the crazies are... If you're crazy, you're from North Korea.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about this film spoiler-free generally, but we might talk about the ending, but we'll give a spoiler warning before we do that.
Yeah. But, yeah, she has kind of, like, mind control powers. She escapes this facility and she runs into a stripper... Bonnie, played by Kate Hudson, and her son, Charlie, played by Evan Whitten, who I've not seen in anything else.
No.
And, there's a cop on their tail, played by Craig Robinson.
Craig Robinson, yeah. Craig Robinson is in this film.
Yeah. I actually watched Pineapple Express before watching this. I rewatched this movie, and I watched Pineapple Express. Oh, yeah. 2 movies in one day with Craig Robinson being somewhat of an antagonist.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Surprisingly, for an Anna Lily film, it's a pretty straightforward movie, actually. It's pretty simple. Not as... Probably her most accessible movie. It's not as weird.
But wouldn't you say that the plots, anyway, of her films are generally pretty simple? Like, A Girl Walks Home at Night is pretty straightforward, plot-wise, I mean. Like, of course, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I think there's a bit more, like, weirdness in that movie, I would say. A bit more, like, bit more style. And it's also black and white, which is going to turn some people the other way,
right.
Which is a surprising thing. Because I actually... These days, I quite enjoy, like, black and white movies. So I'm always excited when I see a new film that's been shot in black and white. Because I've met some friends who are just very starkly against black and white. They're just like, can't do it, man. Just can't. It's black and white, can't do it.
Well, we watched Werewolf by Night quite recently, and that was quite good.
Yeah, but apparently it didn't do very well.
Oh, okay.
So it was a bit of a failure commercially. So there you go.
I'm very excited for that Nick Cage Nosferatu movie as well.
Yeah. That'll probably be black and white.
I think it is black and white. I've only seen, like, production stills of it where he's, like, wearing makeup, but, like, the makeup, because it's done for the purposes of black and white filming, like, the makeup just looks really whack.
Yeah.
But yeah, black and white is good. It's a good stylistic choice, but I would say this film's pretty stylish in its own way as well.
Yeah, this movie is not black and white. What's immediate to me is the soundtrack to this movie. I think the soundtrack is really cool.
Very eclectic.
Like, it really stands out. And I think Anna Lily, as a director, has a pretty good, like, grasp on her music tastes in her films. She uses, like, popular music or maybe contemporary music or music that she likes pretty well in her films. So it kind of reminds me of, like, I guess maybe early Danny Boyle, how he mixed in, like, popular music in his tracks. So I really thoroughly enjoyed the soundtrack to this movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like popular music. It doesn't feel like a background soundtrack. It feels like a part of the film. You know, like, and
it's not like fucking Resident Evil.
Sure, Or
really
even things like Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, like, they have, like, a pretty good soundtrack as well, but it always feels like it's kind of tacked on.
Guardians, I feel like, makes sense because Star-Lord.
Yeah.
That's, like, what he grew up with. But, like, I'm not sure if the monthly review was out, but I was talking about Black Adam, how they're just playing Rolling Stones and Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it's good music, but I don't know, man. I feel like it's not there. It feels like a corporate decision.
Sure, yeah.
But with this movie, it feels very much like an Anna Lily film. in terms of her like camera techniques or the aesthetics, she uses a lot of like tracking shots and wide lenses, so it always looks like the characters are like about to burst through the screen.
Right.
So it kind of gives that very like invasive look. So, I mean, at the start of the movie where the nurse kind of is like rough with Mona Lisa, she's like
very close like, shots of both characters adding to the
like
tension.
She's kind of it's very unlikable from the nurse, and then very fierce from Jeon Jong-seo's part, Mona Lisa's part, and it's like it's a pretty cool technique, and she likes doing those shots where like characters are reaching into fridges and then like getting something out, so that's always there. So that happens a lot in the cabinet episode.
I notice whenever Mona Lisa uses her power, there's like this kind of like dolly zoom that they use.
Yeah, that's
kind of like,
what's it called? Parallax.
And it's a nice little kind of technique to just add that kind of supernatural element to what the viewer is seeing, because otherwise it's just like her staring at the camera.
So there's definitely like a pretty simple story told like with a lot of style, and I think it's told pretty well. Like it's actually pretty easy movie to watch. Like when I was following the production of it, I didn't know that much, but just seeing stills from it, like this looks like it's going to be a really whack fever dream.
Because I think it's the coloring of it, right? The color, like there's is kind of, because it is set in New Orleans, so it's kind of got this kind of neon glow to everything. Everything looks kind of like Technicolor, so it's like really moody looking as well. Without context, you could like consider it like quite fever dreamy.
A lot of like strong like color filters. A lot of like scenes where characters are like in like blue lights or red lights,
because it like a lot of scenes are set in strip clubs, so they've got that kind of like the dark lighting.
It's interesting because on rewatching this movie, you kind of wonder who really is the protagonist, because Mona Lisa is the protagonist, but her character doesn't really have as much of an arc as I would say Kate Hudson's character and the kid. They change a bit more than Mona Lisa.
Right.
Mona Lisa seems to be more of just like the catalyst of change for those two.
It kind of reminds me of Terminator 2. You know, like they've got the mom and the child character who have an arc, and the Terminator is there just kind of like vibing with the kid, you know, and kind of learning to be human from this kid. But like you could consider the Terminator to be the protagonist of Terminator 2, but you wouldn't. It would be John Connor, right?
It's John Connor. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I actually quite like the kid as well. Like, he starts off annoying, but I think that's the point of that kind of character. He's not the best actor, I think.
It's
true.
His character is likable enough, I guess.
I was watching it, and I was like, I was thinking about his acting, and like, I mean, I don't hate the kid. Like, I don't hate the character, but like,
I think he could have used a bit more direction, maybe a few more takes. But I mean, I don't know how many takes.
But like, I didn't mind the development between the two. It's probably because he's being carried by Jeon Jong-seo.
I mean, Eddie Furlong wasn't great in Terminator 2 either, but
he can't just keep killing people.
Because you can.
Actually, it's interesting that I wonder if the script was written with someone Asian in mind, because on rewatching, there's actually a number of Asian characters in this film. Maybe like kind of a very, very minor character, and one is kind of a gag, which we'll talk about. But like, I assume Jong-seo's English is probably not the best, so it's a second language. But I think they probably use that to their advantage in this movie, because she has very short bursts of dialogue.
Yeah, like the Terminator.
Like the Terminator. It's a pretty good comparison. Probably with a lot less killing and a lot less violent. This movie, it's not Yeah, it's not a very violent movie either. No. It kind of built itself off as kind of being a bit more horror orientated. I think it is. Marketing.
I was surprised that it was classified as a horror on IMDb.
Yeah, it's not really. This movie feels more like a fairy tale fantasy. Almost like a modern day fable, really.
Yeah, there are kind of like dark elements, like the full moon appears a lot in this film, and I think like it's supposed to almost be like a werewolf like transformation on Mona Lisa's part, right? Like the blood moon unlocks her power, and then she kind of goes on not a killing spree, but like a crime spree, I guess.
Yeah, a bit of a crime spree.
Yeah, which brings us to Bonnie Bell's character, Kate Hudson's character, Bonnie Bell. I think Kate Hudson is probably my favorite performance in this film, I reckon.
Yeah, she does a pretty good job, Yeah, she plays a stripper.
Oh, my second favorite performance. I'm really a big fan of the friendly drug dealer guy.
Oh, yeah, that guy, yeah. Well, I was going to talk about him. Yeah. We'll talk about him after Kate Hudson's character, but yeah, she's kind of a down-and-out strip. Not really down and out, but single mother. You know, she's trying to provide for her kid with the best way that she can, which is being a stripper.
Yeah.
And she takes in Mona Lisa because Mona Lisa saves her from being beaten up by some crazy
skank.
the dude that plays her boyfriend is almost like a parody of lower class Asian American who wants to be a rapper.
Yeah.
Kind of guy. Like,
well, that couple in general, right? Is like that. Like, it's a perfect representation of that very specific subset of people.
Yeah, I think so. And like, yeah, that scene was pretty funny. She's just like, she accuses her boyfriend of looking at Kate Hudson's ass. Yeah. It's just like this, like, pretty kind of realistic fight between the two. Like, that's probably how a fight in real life would go about between two women.
Yeah, just a clumsy mess of bodies on the ground, just rolling over each other.
But yeah, she basically takes Mona Lisa in and begins to, she exploits her powers to make money off clients. So
she's like not entirely good, but she's not evil either.
Yeah. She's just she's a person, you know. Like, she'd probably do what any number of people who would come across someone with gifts like that as their ally. I mean, like, most people would say, no, I'm a good Samaritan. Like, nah, bro. I'm going up to fucking people. I'm getting like I'm getting thousands out of your accounts, man. Like, I'm done.
It's kind of like like in Rain Man. Like Tom Cruise's relationship with Dustin Hoffman's character.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, she's exploiting Mona Lisa, but also she's giving Mona Lisa like a purpose, I guess, and also a roof over her head. So she's kind of justifying that her actions in that, you know, like she's helping Mona Lisa out and Mona Lisa is helping her out at the same time. Charlie, on the other hand, sees it a different way. As more black and white, way? Right?
More black and white. Yeah. You're talking about the drug dealer character.
The friendliest drug dealer you'll ever find.
Probably one of the more interesting characters, because I think what Anna Lily does in a lot of her movies is subvert character expectations. So Mona Lisa comes across this drug dealer who looks like, you know,
he looks dangerous.
Pretty sleazy, dangerous drug dealer.
Yeah.
And he seems like he's going to take advantage of her. And he kind of does and doesn't. He buys her like cheesy puffs, which made me get a cheesy puff craving. So
is that actually a thing?
Oh, is that? No, I was just like, I feel like eating cheesy puffs. So it's like the way she's just ravaging them. Oh, maybe.
That's true. She does make them look pretty good.
Yeah, they're not actually that good.
Yeah, I don't like them. You get cheese hands after you eat them.
I like cheesels better than cheesy puffs anyway.
What's that movie where they eat them with chopsticks so they don't get cheesy hands? Oh, no, I'm thinking of She-Hulk. She does that in She-Hulk. Good show.
So, yeah, Mona Lisa. A much better movie with a female lead. But, yeah, Mona Lisa is, she's the way she eats those cheesy puffs. But, yeah, the dude, it seems because he's like asking her for a kiss and stuff, and he's like halfway between a sleaze, but he actually ends up being like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But he like kind of helps her out in the movie.
He kind of turns out to be more spiritual than sleazy, I guess.
Yeah. For people who are familiar with Der Antwoord, the South African rap group, he kind of looks like the lead rapper of that group. That's, if you're familiar with them. I forgot his name's Ninja. He looks like Ninja from Der Antwoord.
Okay.
But he's not in the movie that much, but yeah, he's a very kind of like likable character. And there's also the bodyguard guy. He's pretty nice dude.
Oh, yeah, the bouncer, yeah.
Yeah, the bouncer, yeah. There's like a balance of like asshole dudes and nice dudes.
Do you think Craig Robinson's character, Officer Harold, is a nice dude or a not nice dude?
I would say he's a dude who has come up against something that he doesn't understand and wants to be believed. So I wouldn't say I don't think he's a bad dude. I think he's a nice dude who has come across an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, his motivations for wanting to track her down is he says a couple of times, he says something like, she shouldn't be allowed to run around with her abilities, like that's not something that a human should be able to do and should be free to do. So I guess he's like one of those people that wants to like police superhero like abilities, I guess.
Yeah.
He'd be on Captain America's side in the Civil War. Yeah. But I don't necessarily think that makes him a bad guy. I think it's just, he's struggling to kind of understand and come to terms with this power.
Yeah, because because there's like a police call that goes out for Mona Lisa, and he comes across her, and then she like makes him like shoot his like kneecaps nearly. And he's like, so he spends the whole movie like with a cane, just hobbling around. He's pretty funny in this movie. Just kind of like he's got this just vendetta.
Yeah.
Whether or not he believes that he actually does want to arrest her because of her abilities, or if it's just like a personal thing where
it doesn't seem personal though. I think it's more like he wants to control this thing that seems like it's out of his control.
I think it is a bit more personal.
You think so?
Because he doesn't need to go that far.
Yeah, he gets pretty into finding her. Yeah. He like ends up yelling at Charlie.
Because I think he just wants to capture her.
But his motivations are not. Yeah, they're not really made explicit in the film. It's just he really, really wants to catch her. And it's funny when he goes to like that voodoo lady for help.
Yeah.
She just sells him a bunch of snake oil.
What do you think about the omission of Mona Lisa's powers? Not the omission of explanation or backstory.
Oh, I think it's
because you don't really know much.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like I think there are a lot of things that start off like that. So yeah, and the movie kind of makes it clear that that's not the focus of the film.
Yeah.
Like it's more about what she's going to do next rather than her past. Because they do kind of like touch on her past, but it's always brushed over. So like.
Well, you said before, like, she's North Korean.
Yeah, and you only get that because of a file you see for a split second or something. So I think as an audience member, you realize that it's not important to know where her powers come from.
I think so as well. Yeah, I think I didn't need it as well. I think I just enjoyed the ride, the journey of her character.
I think it's a pretty classic, like, story as well, like the escaped kind of gifted person. Like we've seen it in things like Stranger Things. A whole bunch of anime does it as well. What's that movie we watched recently? Carter, maybe? I can't remember. We were talking about it though. It's a trope that we've seen before.
Some of the criticism for this movie is that its narrative is a little bit undercooked, because I said it's actually a very simple movie, and not that much happens. But I don't know, when I was watching it, expecting to be in a wash of a fever dream with like, cameras doing 360s and flashing strobing lights and, having a fit. Like, I was actually pleasantly surprised at how simple this movie was. The first time I'd watched this movie, I'd probably come off a string of watching some very like, I don't know, probably some really depressing movie or some like art house movie. So when I watched this movie, I'm like, oh yeah, like, I'm pretty satisfied with the journey. I'm satisfied with the acts and the climax. It all ends pretty well for everyone. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I like this movie a lot. And I think most of that comes with just like maybe the style of the movie. It's pretty unique. So I really like to see these auteur directors get the chance to kind of put their flair on their films, even on really like simple movies that are told pretty well. And yeah, like it's even though it wasn't as violent as I had expected, like I still liked it. Yeah, like it's funny you mentioned Stranger Things just before.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if this movie conjures up some similar kind of feels, because there's kind of a retro feel to this movie. It could really be set at any time. There's not a lot of smartphones in this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of, it doesn't date itself. I think you can watch this movie really at any time.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, like, narratively speaking, it doesn't have much going on. But I think the visuals, like the visual experience of it, and the performances really do a good job at fleshing out things without explicitly saying much. Like the setting you mentioned is like, it's a really good use of this setting, this kind of like grimy, neon lit New Orleans. Like you really get a sense of the sleaziness of it, but also the liveliness of it and the colorful aspects of it. And yeah, I think that's like just good to watch as well. And then you get like the characters. All the characters are fairly interesting. Like they have like these little interesting character quirks. Like Charlie, the kid, is really into heavy metal.
Heavy metal, yeah.
And he's just like, what does he call it? Like in his room, he's like, I thought it was it's moshing or thrashing.
Well,
we
called it moshing, but he called it something else, like slam dancing or something.
I can't remember.
Shit, I forgot.
Yeah,
I completely forgot. But yeah, he is explaining the concept of moshing to Mona Lisa. I actually really like that scene where they kind of connect with each other.
Yeah,
which is probably why it's like, yeah, Charlie, the acting is not the best, but like, I like the sentiment of that scene.
Sure.
Because I like heavy metal.
Yeah.
Like I had some Korn posters and Slipknot posters in my room at some point.
Yeah.
So I actually found Charlie quite relatable.
Sure.
Really.
Yeah. Like the reason he likes doing it is because he's angry. And he's angry because of his situation. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's just a really effective way of adding more depth to this kid character, which, like, I think a lot of other properties that involve kids, they fall short in this aspect. They make their kids a bit too one-dimensional. Whereas, they don't need to be. They can have feelings and depth.
He feels like an organic character, which I appreciate. I feel like it probably comes from a personal story to like Anna Lily.
Probably.
Yeah. So all those scenes were cool, and I like the kind of basically the John Connor Terminator relationship between the two, because she kind of stands up for him against his bully.
Yeah.
And it's quite cathartic. He basically kind of gets beaten by a bully at school. And then they come across him throwing eggs at their house. And then she makes like the kid like slam eggs on his face.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of like this little surprisingly innocent exchange between the two, because I think
Terminator wouldn't have done that. Terminator would have shot those kids in the legs.
You can't just keep killing people.
Why?
Yeah, that's very. She actually says that a lot as well in this movie. She's like, "Why? Like, do you like people? Like, why?"
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably a bias from my end, but I did like Jong-seo's performance the most in this movie.
She does do a good job.
I don't know. There's just something about that actress's look that just she does these. You can like read exactly how she's feeling with like very small expressions in her face. She's got a face for cinema, I think. I just keep thinking back to a Burning character, and it's just like how well she portrays that character, and then how scary she can be in The Call.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, yeah, and in this movie, like when you kind of see like, yeah, this cute girl aspect in one point, but then she's quite intimidating when she is, and that comes with the camera as well, where she's like, basically bursting out of the screen.
Yeah.
You don't really want to fuck with her at the same time.
Right.
I think I like that, intensity in her performance.
Yeah, she's got range. She's like, in this movie alone, she has her softer moments as well. There's a part in like the laundromat, I think, where she's bonding with Charlie too.
Oh, yeah.
And he draws like the Mona Lisa picture of her. Another interesting character quirk of Charlie's. He's good at drawing.
Yeah. I think it's just like he likes drawing those kind of like heavy metal style pictures. Yeah. So that's cool. Do we want to get into spoilers or?
Yeah. But if you haven't watched this film, I think it's definitely worth a watch. Pretty easy to digest, I would say.
It'll probably be out of the cinemas by the time this episode's released.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, in Melbourne, you can watch it at Cinema Nova for the one screening a day that they do.
It'll probably come to streaming.
I would definitely recommend watching it.
I think this director has definitely got something to offer. I think
support like these newer like auteurs.
Yeah, she's got a vision, right? And like she's able to put it onto screen pretty effectively. Also a shout out to the cinematographer of this film too, who is Paweł Pogorski. He's worked in a lot of Ari Aster films.
Oh yeah, I'm just having a look now. Oh, no wonder it's got.
So I think a lot of the camera choices that we've mentioned are probably his doing as well, right?
That's right. It does, This does kind of feel like an A24 film when you think about it. It's got, and he did Fresh as well, which you talked,
Midsommar as well. I think I think probably he's good at highlighting crazy people quite well.
There is a shot in this movie where they try to. He does the crazy anime shot where they do it's like from the top anime. So I think they do it with Mona Lisa, and it's pretty. Yeah, I'm like, that's the anime shot. Good that you mentioned the cinematographers. Like a lot of people like screenwriters and cinematographers get left on the floor, and then like the directors just take. But Anna Lily actually wrote this one, so But like cinematographers usually almost get more of the raw end, unless you're like Roger Deakins or something like that. then you can overtake the director. But
good film, I reckon.
No wonder why this is a good movie.
It looks good. It's a good looking film.
There is a point in this movie. Spoilers. Where like Craig Robertson does track down Kate Hudson, Bonnie, I should say. Bonnie and Mona Lisa, and they try to escape the club, and you kind of see Bonnie's, I guess, defense mechanism when she tries, because they're caught and cornered. And she
quickly throws Mona Lisa under the bus.
Basically, she's like, I don't know this girl, because you're talking about like her not as a person. That's not like the most moral thing to do. But you can't always take that part.
She's a survivor, right?
She's not a bad person. Like I think she's still like a good person, I think she's just someone who's had the circumstances turned that way. Like a lot of this, I mean, like robbing people, you can't really excuse that as being good.
I think even like she uses Mona Lisa to get all the tips when she's stripping, right?
Yeah.
And then like the other dancers get disgruntled at her because nobody is tipping them because like all the customers have no more money. And basically, she drives away their business as well because they're like, what the fuck is going on? I'm out of here. And so like she seems like a person that doesn't care about consequences for other people.
I think she probably does, but I think in that moment it's just like shit just seems so what's the word I'm looking for? She can get away with it without much with like, you know, impunity, right? Like she can just get away with things without being punished.
Right.
And like you kind of like lose sight of that. Like it's basic greed, you know? Like she just wants to use her like more for than her survival. It's just like, yeah, I can actually get the taste of being rich for a change, you know? Maybe she kind of like lost her way a bit, but you know, she quickly learns her lesson when like, you know, Mona Lisa's like, I don't like you anymore. And she just leaves her and tries to run away with Charlie. But earlier in the film, Bonnie scams these 4 guys who I guess are kind of racist because they say Mona Lisa's not their type. So there might be a very subtle theme there.
I didn't think of that, but yeah, it could be.
There's another little bit of that near the end of the movie. So they find Bonnie, they basically beat her up and she's in hospital. So at that point, karma, you know, the stripper says her colleague says it to her, like, karma is going to get you. And she kind of bears it all to Craig Robinson. She's like, you know, I'm just a shitty person, you know? And it's like, it's kind of sad. It not sad, but it's like, you know, I think that's kind of the big emotional beat for Kate Hudson. It's kind of like to realize that you've walked over the line and probably done more than she should have, you know?
Right.
But it's a reflection of like who wouldn't take advantage of Mona Lisa, and who really is, because deep down we're probably like scumbags.
But I think it's also like her neglect of her son as well that kind of triggers that response, because like she doesn't really treat him that well in this film. We don't really get a sense of their past relationship except that Charlie seems to hate her. But also he loves her, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think he hates her. I think he resents her
angry
because
at her.
She's always away.
Yeah,
and
that's he says that
her,
she
like, not being her fault. Yeah,
he says that she resents him for like basically ruining her life. Like she doesn't get to do what she wants to do because she has to raise this child, and he can feel that resentment from her, which makes him resent her as well.
But they both don't hate each other at all, which is the arc that they travel.
Well, at the end they don't, I guess. Yeah,
they don't. I mean, that's just one footnote in their life, which involves Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
I mean, Charlie will probably still have another tiff at some point.
At least he's made a drug dealer friend.
The drug dealer guy. Yeah. What a dude. Very, very, very,
very helpful.
He gets some passports, makes Mona Lisa a mixtape.
Teaches Charlie how to be cool and confident. Makes him an omelet of some kind.
That's right. Like
a fried egg or something.
Very like sultrily fries and onions.
His like apartment is so gaudy as well. It's like everything is like blacklit.
Yeah, actually, the people that are like kind of gaudy in this film are actually kind of like nice people, except maybe the trash Asian people. Well, even the guy, he just wants to go home, man. He just wants to go home. And then like it's interesting that like Anna Lily would write like I guess the female character like that, which is maybe like kind of on the stereotype of the bitches be cray kind of thing, like when she feels extreme jealousy for this other woman. And it's like, do you think these characters are kind of, not realistically, but kind of like realistically in a story world written from like that female perspective? Because if you watch the Cabinet of Curiosity episodes that she wrote, she writes some very unlikable women in that episode as well, which I found quite surprising too. But
well, her main characters, from what I've seen, tend to be strong female characters and like quite predatory as well. So I think she's pretty unbiased, maybe, when it comes to writing her characters. Like she'll give it out on both ends. There'll be nice blokes and there'll be shitty blokes too, and vice versa for women too.
Yeah, because like a lot of the like when A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night came out, and a lot of the critics were writing reviews and people who were praising that movie, they like call her like a feminist filmmaker. When I watch her movies, I see those themes, but I don't see them as grating.
Yeah, they're not in your face, right?
Yeah, I mean, not like She-Hulk, as you talked about before.
You haven't watched it, Tommy. You can't say.
Nah, man. I don't need to watch it, man. It's
You wouldn't get past the first episode.
No, I didn't. I was watching it with Nat.
Oh, were you? Okay.
We gave up about halfway through. I tried to be open-minded for a little bit, and it didn't work, and then I went home and had a pretty good sleep. But yeah, I think Anna Lily writes both genders pretty well. And she subverts your expectation with who you think is going to be like the sleazy dude. And she does that in The Bad Batch as well, actually, come to think of it. That's a weird movie. Like, I can't really make my mind up about that particular movie either. With that movie as well, it's got like a strong female lead who is also predatory as well.
I think that's a thing, yeah.
But I think that's pretty cool. So I'm happy to see more stuff from her. With Mona Lisa, as they travel to the airport and they're escaping, I was actually really invested because for some reason, it's really common in these kind of art house movies where the main character is going to get killed, and I really didn't want Mona Lisa to get like gunned down by cops.
Right. Yeah.
So, but she doesn't. She actually gets away.
Charlie does a pretty smart maneuver that I don't think I would have thought of. But yeah, I guess he's just got that inner racism that made sure it was going to work.
So there you go. You gotta use that inner racism sometimes. So this scene was really funny. I wonder if I showed this to some people and they'd be like, I didn't like that because it's racist.
So if you haven't watched this film and you have just stuck around just cause, so basically Charlie and Mona Lisa are at the airport. They've managed to purchase a ticket out of there, but the cops are hot in pursuit. Craig Robinson is rushing to the airport to catch them. They get to the point where they're about to board the plane. They're in the line to board the plane. But then because of Craig Robinson calling ahead to the airport, police have been put at each gate to check everybody's ID.
And keep an eye out for an Asian woman
and a young child. So, basically Charlie sees this coming, knows that they're about to get caught. So what he does is he says a tearful goodbye to Mona Lisa, leaves her in the line and runs over to the nearest Asian woman he can find and just says, help, I'm being kidnapped.
She's kidnapped.
And quickly all of the cops pounce on them and tell this random Asian lady to just step away from the child and put her hands up, which is pretty clever, I thought.
It's pretty funny. And I don't... See, that's the thing. Like, it is like, sure, you have to abide by that kind of racist saying of all Asians look alike, which maybe might be true sometimes. But I can say that to any other race sometimes. Like, I mean, when I was working in hospitality, and I would struggle to tell the difference between some older white women. I'm like, I think I've seen you. I know you're a different customer.
But in fairness to those cops, they didn't send a photo ahead.
Yeah.
They just said an Asian woman.
Yeah. And that's true. But like I think that works pretty well. I think it is pretty funny. And then when you see them in the like interrogation room or in like another section. And she's like, you know what, you can't tell the difference of two Asian women.
I think that I feel like that line probably made it a bit on the nose. I think that was a bit unnecessary. But
I thought it was pretty funny.
I did enjoy her protest.
I thought the protest was pretty funny.
Like, I'm gonna sue you. I'm gonna sue you. I went to Berkeley or something.
I think that's the as I was saying. This movie seems like it could be set in any time period, really. But that moment probably brings it more towards like the 2020 side of things.
Sure, yeah.
To be fair, I would be pretty pissed off as well if I was her. I'd be the same. I'd throw that card. You can't tell two Asian dudes, man. Fucking.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. They'd probably be like, nah, we can't, because Asian men are the most expendable people in the world. So that's fair. So yeah, I thought that ending was pretty funny. But yeah, no, it ends pretty well. Like she gets away.
Kate Hudson learns a lesson.
Yeah, and Charlie goes back home, and yeah, like everything. It's quite a fairy tale ending, really.
I don't know. Probably would have been happier living with Mona Lisa, but yeah, I guess going back to New Orleans.
He'd miss his mum.
Yeah, he did make the effort to call her, which is why they got caught in the first place.
I mean, like, if I was Charlie, I'd go with Mona Lisa just because, like, it's Jeon Jong-seo. So
I don't think that. I don't think. Do you think their relationship was romantic on either end?
Not at all. No.
Not even on Charlie's end?
Nah, I don't think so. I think he just let her as a friend.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a platonic.
Yeah.
I don't think they would be allowed to make it romantic anyway because of the age difference.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel there was a sense of romance. I think it was just a sense because Mona Lisa's character is mentally 12 years old as well. So, I mean, who's to say if in the hypothetical path, if they did actually escape together in the future, they develop romantic tensions or not. But not in this movie. I didn't think so. But I don't know. Do you think so?
Just trying to think back at their interactions. Yeah, I think if the director wanted it to be that, then she would have. There were plenty of opportunities to make it explicit. Or not even explicit, but even subtly. I don't even think there was any subtle nods to Charlie's intentions turning that way.
I reckon it would have taken away from the film as well. It's just like there's that theme of like friendship, just looking for. Because I don't think she's had she obviously doesn't have a friend, being in a mental asylum, and like he's like gets bullied in school and stuff. Like it's a pretty simple setup for like just like friends, and basically becoming part of the family almost for a bit. But then Kate Hudson throws her under the bus. I don't know this woman. Kate Hudson is really good in this movie. I've not really seen a lot of her movies. Every time I think of Kate Hudson,
rom-coms.
I think of rom-coms.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was pretty good in this film, I think.
But I think I have seen her in some other films where I was like, oh, she's not bad. Like she's obviously a good actress. I'm just gonna have a look quickly if I've seen anything recently from her.
But yeah, she has yet to have like a reconnaissance.
I think she's probably underrated. I reckon. I think she just from a string of, she's been like a side character a lot. Like, I'm just looking at a few movies that she's done recently, and it's like, she hasn't really been the lead. So, not since The Skeleton Key, maybe.
That was her?
Yeah, she was in The Skeleton Key.
I get her mixed up with a lot of blonde actresses, if I'm going to be honest. That Naomi Watts type of character.
Yeah. I think a lot of those actors who were in those like rom-com days of the early thousands have grown into quite credible actors now. I mean, like, her and Matthew McConaughey were in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Right, yeah. And I remember seeing the trailer for that movie, like, oh my God, one of these movies. But like, now they're both very respectable actors.
Sure.
And hopefully, Kate Hudson gets a few more roles. Craig Robinson will probably still just be Craig Robinson.
Yeah, he was Craig Robinson in this film. He's going to be Craig Robinson in the next film. Craig.
Yeah. But it's good to see. I hope...
Take
like
your panties
with Jeon Jong-seo's Hollywood debut, if you would call this a Hollywood movie, it's one of the more better debuts. Like, I was going to say, like, I hope this leads her towards more, like, good Hollywood roles, but then I was backtracking. I was like, why? Like, I'd rather her just make more movies in Korea, because, like, I think just her being really good in Korea is...
I honestly speaking, I think this might be a one and done situation. I don't know, like, if there are many directors or many roles, really, that would call for her talents in Hollywood.
I just think, like, she's a really talented actress.
Sure.
And she should get a lot of recognition.
I think she's better in her native tongue as well, probably. Her English can obviously improve, but yeah, like, I think in this film, like, her broken English was pretty effective because, you know, that was that type of character. But in a film where, like, you know, more speaking is needed, she might struggle, and, like, not struggle, but, like, it might detract from her performance.
Yeah, but there's just so many, like, Hollywood tends to squander Korean actors. I mean, we're talking about Lee Byung-hun, whose English is quite good.
It is quite
good. But yeah, let's just put you in some shit ass, like...
That's his choices, though, you know?
No, I don't think he was given much opportunity. And he's spoken out about it as well.
Really?
I was just like, yeah.
He's quite good in the roles that he's given, even in Hollywood. Like, he's the best part of Red, too.
Yeah, but he's so... But, like, I have this conversation a lot with Boone. I mean, we talked about, like, Mortal Kombat, how Joe Taslim and Hiroyuki Sanada are easily the best parts of that movie.
Yeah.
But I don't think Hollywood wants to give full Asian leads a lead. Like, they have to have some American identity in them, even if they're, like, not that good. Like, what's his face? Louis Tan? Is it Louis Tan?
Yeah, Louis Tan.
Yeah.
Henry Golding, obviously.
Yeah. Henry Golding's all right. As much as I don't like Crazy Rich Asians, like, Henry Golding's all right. He does rom-coms pretty well, I think. But I just don't particularly like those kind of movies.
He's okay in The Gentleman.
Yeah, he's right in The Gentleman. It's, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of Korean talent, or just Asian actor talent, that should have more of a... I imagine, like, if they were somehow in an alternate universe, if they were, like, an American actress, they would have a lot of recognition for their talents.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe there's just not enough roles being written. I mean, Ken Watanabe has been in some pretty high-profile films as, like, a lead. What's it called? Last Samurai. He's the main guy in that, right? Inception.
Nah.
Does a lot of dying in Inception.
he's somewhat
Godzilla.
of a main character, but he's never really, like, the lead, you know.
Sure.
I guess it doesn't need to be, but, like, I think it would be better. I don't know. Like, part of me wants, like, let's say her to have, like, some really good recognition in the Western market, because that would prove, like, yeah, man, like, they've got a lot to offer. But also, like, I'd rather just see, like, her in Korean stuff, because she's better in Korean movies, and I like Korean movies more than American films these days anyway. So
sure. And it's like Song Kang-ho, one of, like, our favorite actors, and
just makes Korean movies.
He just makes Korean films, and that's fine.
Yeah, and Lee Byung-hun has just gone back to Korea as well. I think he's
doing a Squid Game.
He's doing a Squid Game. He's in him and Song Kang-ho are in Emergency Declaration.
Oh yeah, we gotta watch that film.
Yeah, we gotta watch that. Yeah, can't believe that movie has slipped past us. Like, wait a minute, it's like two of our favorite actors in one.
Have they been
like
in a film before together? No, yeah, obviously. What's it called? The Good, the Bad, the Weird, right?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, Kim Ji-won brought them together. Yeah. So yeah, no, I don't know much about that movie, but it's got those two together, so we got to give that a watch.
Good.
But yeah, I don't know if I got much more to say about Mona Lisa, except that it's a very, very stylish film.
It's a good watch. It's definitely gonna slip by you, but catch it somehow. Catch it when it comes to streaming or whatever. Again.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if this episode doesn't do that well, but that's all right. I wanted to talk about this movie because I like it.
Yeah,
and
that's what we're all about. We're all about giving a little bit more exposure to maybe these films that might slip by people.
Yeah,
except for the times where we talk about Bling Empire,
and Marvel. Shit.
I don't know who that's for. But yeah.
I don't know who brings that shit up all the time. You've abandoned your Shang-Chi mug that I bought you 3 times now.
I'm sorry, Tommy.
It's gone.
I forgot.
It's gone.
It was in the dishwasher.
Boone's claimed it now.
Okay.
It's his.
Yeah, he'll appreciate it.
Do you just secretly not like Shang-Chi, Dan?
No, I think it's the most important movie of last year.
Do you think it's just...
That's the inspiration for this podcast, Tommy.
One of my friends just say it's just like... I wonder if we're going to get a little bit of trouble for saying this, but me and a friend, we often say how Simu Liu is not really the most charismatic guy on film.
Yeah.
And is this a secret way of you saying that I actually don't like Shang-Chi and I don't want anything to do? You wouldn't even have him in the house because of how... That's
good. He's my favorite superhero. I think his opinions are valid, and he speaks a lot to what I'm thinking a lot of the time, Toppy.
Why haven't you read his book yet, then?
He's got a book?
Yeah, man, he's got a book. See, you would know this, if you were a real fan.
What is the book about? Is it about...
I forgot what it's called. It's just about making it in Hollywood and then being an Asian...
Not getting enough roles.
Yeah. What's it called?
Losing all his roles to Henry Golding.
It's called We Were Dreamers, an immigrant superhero origin story. So there you go, Dan.
I'm sure he wrote that himself.
I'll buy it for your Christmas gift.
Yeah, and I will forget it 3 times, and then it will end up in Boone's hands.
I'm gonna get it delivered directly to your house, and then you'll just leave it there. It's like, oh, hey, Mr. Dan, we've got a package for you. It's like, oh, what is it? And it's just like you'll just see the Amazon package,
and I just leave it.
It's like,
I'll just leave it on the desk.
Yeah, leave it on the desk.
Oh shit, Tavi, I forgot it. Get sent back to your house.
I didn't even get it. It just somehow I was like, why is this sent back to me? Okay, now we got off the rails. But yeah, go watch Mona Lisa and the Blood Moon.
What did you think of Mona Lisa and the Blood Moon? If you saw it, did our ramblings convince you to watch this film? It is a gem, so we would recommend watching it if you can. Have you seen any other Lily Amirpour films that we should check out? Let us know. You can get in touch with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group to part of the conversation, or you can follow us on Instagram at twoasianblokes to see what we're up to. Thank you, as always, for listening.
Yeah, go and support these films. We don't need any more tentpole stuff. As Tarantino has said recently.
What does Tarantino say?
He said, this is paraphrasing a bit. He's basically saying that this is the worst era of filmmaking.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I did hear he was having a go at Marvel films, superhero films in general.
Every great director recently has had a go at superhero films. And yeah, I agree with him. There's too many of them. But anyway.
Would you say Taika Waititi is not a great director?
No, he's a good director.
He's a good director. There you go.
He's a good director.
Okay.
All right.
James Gunn, man.
Let's end this before I go on another rant. All right. See you later, guys.
See you guys. Bye-bye.